Alright folks, give me a second. Alright, got a little distracted there, working on some stuff for the app that I'd like to wrap up today. We will take a few seconds to look at questions at some point, but there's a couple things that I'd like to add to our app and put a bow on it and ship it, be done with it. We are kind of making it a little bit unnecessarily complicated. Let's see here, Mr. Ruthie, are you there?
I am.
Okay.
Just make sure you remember to turn down your background music.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. There's that. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in and get started with the last, wherever we were previously. Just a quick catch people up. We have select club, distance changes, decide on whether the how wind blow, how ball lie. Well, that's unnecessarily brief. And then based on the input and that, it will get a certain club. And the key is that when we go back here, it should reset, which it resets that, but it should reset the text as well. Headwind, tailwind, no wind. Oh, did I do the same one twice? That's why. Let's get rid of that. Actually, no, I do want that. What I want is the radio button. That's what I was in the middle of doing. Not headwind, fairway. Just reusing some stuff that is, where are we? Come on. Which probably should be in its own function just because it's so redundant. Let's see here, select club, we switch this, and when we go to club selection and back, yeah, it should go back to there. Alright, so there's the couple things I wanted to add today were a reset button and a back button, and then we need some way to take our custom sliders distances and put those values into an array that will then be applied as our distance selection. So how are we going to do this? Let's do let's put some buttons in. Why not? First, let's make the custom distance thing. I'm going to make this default just temporarily so that we can it'll stay up. And let's put this here. Let's move this button over here, and let's duplicate that button and call it so it's the same characteristics, but we're going to call this custom reset button, and let's have this reset distances. How about just reset? And so this reset distances, that should set all these sliders back to their default, which is this. So let's, on event shortcut, I think we're going to just need to do a whole pile of reset or set property. Yeah, okay, so the button works. Let's set property. Set property of, these are called 9-iron slider, 8, 7, okay. 9-iron slider, jeez, that's a lot of stuff. 9-iron slider, is it value? What would we call this? Why can't I hold all these lines? Why can't I select, let's see here, we want 9-iron slider, and we want its, dude, seriously? Would it be, why, That's not fun. Let's see if what it would be. Border, text, set, maybe it's not set property. Okay, maybe we won't do this. I don't know why. Set text, set. How could it not be? Let's see if it's something to do with my screen. Set custom reset button. That drop down works. Why does this drop down not work? Maybe sliders don't get set property. Okay, maybe we won't work on the reset button. Let's, how could that not be a thing? Okay, never mind then. Let's just go to applying distances. Okay, so we know that button works. And we have it somewhere on apply distance button. That's this one. What do we want to happen when we click on apply distance? We want to set the screen, and we want to put those distances, those values, into an array. So we're going to use an array tools, our append items. And in fact, I want to make this a separate function because I may want to use it when we hit reset. I would like to yeah, we may want to use it a couple places, so I'm going to make it a function. We're just going to call this Apply distances. Would it be distances? Okay, and then we are going to call that function or invoke it. Typos. Okay, so we are going to. We actually don't need to. Yeah, let's start with these as the default distances, which are 94, 110, 120, 130, 144, 162, 187. Okay, so these are those distances. And what we're going to do with our function is add in the apply distance function, which is this one. It's not append, it's insert item. Insert the list that we're going to use is just called dists, and we want to insert into slot 0 get value. So get number of 9 iron slider. And we want to do this for each one. So let's see how fast let's see. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And into this will be in distance or in index 1. I can't. Let's just do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is going to be 8 iron. 8 iron slider, 7 iron slider, 6 iron slider, 5 iron slider, 4 iron slider, 3 iron slider. Okay, and let's console log the list when we hit it. Okay, on we have the applied distance. Jesus, all over the place. I wish I could condense it. Let's console log, not the word dists, but the value dists, the list. Let's just see what happens. Okay, there we go. There's our, oh wait, 100, 110. Oh, okay. So, I don't want insert, append, remove, but it's not append. Insert is, isn't that what I used? Insert? But I want to replace append item, remove item. Here's what we're just going to do the old-fashioned way, which is dists index 0 equals, and what does the get number thing going to do? Do we have one too many parentheses? There we go. Let's see if this works, or if it breaks it. Yeah, okay, so it didn't, nope. Get number, index 0. Why is this not, it should be, let's clear this, reset run.
Don't forget about refreshing the page if things aren't working.
That's true.
You think they should be.
Yeah, the first one should be 94 if this is doing correctly. Huh. Dis index 0. Let's get rid of, let's console these out. And reset run. Oh no, but I already have 94. What is this slider value? Apply distances. It shouldn't be 100 anywhere. It has these new numbers. But the first one shouldn't be 100. The first one should be... Let's do a console log when it runs. See what happens. Well, we can't console log it until it exists. So let's put it here. Console log distance. Okay, it runs, and then we hit apply distances. Where is it getting 100 from? What about console log get value? Get text, get number. Get number of 9 iron slider. Why is this already set to 100? Maybe that's it. Maybe I have this set at 100. Well, there we go. Womp. And its range, why does that say 90? That's probably why. In fact, that's definitely why. 100. This default text should be 100 also. And we run it. Let's go back to the code. Okay, and there's the problem. Console log, reset run. And then we hit apply distances. This should change to 100. Yep, there we go. All right, so we got it. Let's get rid of this console log. And so the issue was that I was using append or insert item, which just puts it into the list and pushes everything back. We don't want to increase the number of distances. We want to replace the default ones with their whatever they change them to. So let's do that for this. Let's go from there to there. Just index 1 gets, and get rid of parentheses. Dists index 2 gets, and this is the same as any variable situation where you use the single equals for to change a variable. That's what we're doing here. Let's see if this works. Control-V, there we go, and close that. Equals, get number, and go like this for 4. Oops. Jeez. And equals 1 more, 2 more. And 1 more. Okay, so here we should hit, when we change these, they should all be whatever it is. Apply distances. Yeah, okay, so it works. In fact, I want to even more prove it. Apply distances. Let's not set the screen. So we run here, and let's put them all down here. Apply distances. There we go. I'm going to put them all over here just to prove that they work. And this should be different. There we go. Okay. So we are using the apply distance to change the value of all of the indexes in the list called distance. Now This is something that makes it unnecessarily tricky, like a lot of the stuff in this app. And that is, okay, so if they have their distances like this, we want to have the cutoff for our less than or greater than to be halfway in between. Okay, so I don't know how else to explain that without, if you don't understand that. Okay, if you hit a 9 iron 97 yards and an 8 iron 113 yards, ideally, uh, you want the cutoff to be uh, halfway in between, whatever the math is. So we are going to create another function called find midpoints, and that's going to be a loop. Okay, this function is going to be called find midpoints, and it is going to go through each item in the list and find how far away it is from the next item in the list and cut that distance in half and then add that to itself. Okay? So we need to we need a for loop. We're starting out at 0. We're going to use it, apply it to the array of dists. Okay, and so we want to find the distance, the difference between the first item in our list and the second item in the list. So the way you're going to do that is by how are we going to do this? Let's see here. We need dis index I index I plus find midpoints. This let's call this difference. Var difference gets yeah, dists index I plus dists. The next item in the list is dist index I plus 1. And we want, if you take the first item, any item in the list, and add it to the next item in the list and divide it by 2, you'll find the average. And then, so we need to put these together and divide by 2. Let's just we can break this up into multiple variables just to var sum is going to be each item in the list plus the next item in the list. Now we can't do this for dists.length. We have to, because when you get to that last item in the list, there isn't one more item in the list to add to, so it's going to be dists.length minus 1. Okay, so we have sum. Let's do them together. The average is sum divided by 2, and then difference diff is dists index I, whatever one we're working with, plus no, difference is sum divided by 2. That's the average. Difference is, okay, so that's how much we need to Okay, so it's average minus the first item in the list. And we need our we need another array of distances, clubs. Let's call this mid points, which midpoints is going to be the actual number that we use to decide the club. And this is a ridiculous algorithm, but it should work. Okay, the difference between the two clubs is the average of the two clubs minus the first one that you're comparing. And difference then we need to add what do we call that? Midpoints. We need to then do midpoints index I gets dis index I plus difference. I think this should work. And then we should console log like crazy. Console log midpoints. And mine points. How about mid? And it needs to be same case sensitivity. Okay, so midpoints is going to be an array with one less item. Let's run that function find midpoints at the beginning of the program. Is that what we called it? Find midpoints. And let's see what happens when we run that. Error line 10. Oh yeah, midpoints. We want midpoints to be an empty array just to start. Okay, this should give us, hey, look at that. Okay, so halfway between our first default and our second default, halfway between 100 and 110 is 105. Halfway between 110 and 120 is 115. Halfway between 120 and 130 is 125. Halfway between 130 and 144 is 137, and so on. So it looks like it works. Mr. Drusi, are you impressed with that?
You always impress me, Mr. Holt.
Yeah. I'm pretty self-satisfied right now. That is something just playing around my head. Okay, so the point of that is that we can then, instead of hard coding in these values, okay, user distance is what we're using for, that is this. This is user distance. We want to compare it if it's less than or equal to midpoints index 0, which midpoints index 0 is this first right here. We want, that's our first cutoff. Then we want to use the first club in the list. Okay, and then midpoints index 1 and midpoints index 2. I guess I didn't need to do that. Index 3, index 4, and index 5, which there are only 6 items in the list, 0 through 5, because we have 7 clubs and we need to find the cutoff in between each club distance, which is what we're doing. And let's see if it works. So how could we test this? Let's First, let's put everything up here. And then, what do we have? Do we have that console login right at the beginning? Select club, 3 iron. What are we console logging here? Why are we getting so many zeros? Okay, this was back when we were checking the radio buttons. So let's do this again. Run. These are our cutoffs, and that means that we can get rid of that. Hold on, we can get rid of that console log disks. That was just a check. Run. Okay, so these are our cutoffs, which means if we did 104, it should give us the shortest club, which is a 9 iron. Okay, if we do 175, it should give us a 3 iron. Good. Okay, this is where we need a back button. Let's just add a back button. Input screen. I don't want to rearrange because I liked how those buttons got dark, and let's just put it tiny over here. That's funny. Give me a second here. Let me fix something real quick. Okay, there we go. Much better. So, how do I want to do this? Let's, I guess we can move these over. I didn't want to do that because it looked really cool. So we have this one at 70, at 10 and 5, and this one is at 125 and 5. Exposition 10. This one is at 125. That's not going to be I want to copy this one because it'll be the right color. Duplicate, and we'll call this one back, and that's why they need to be smaller. Okay, so this is 5 and 5, 110 and 5. This is 5 and 5. This is 110 and 5. And let's duplicate this one. What do we like? This one is at 215 and 5. And let's have it call it back button 1. And let's say back. And output screen, what were we at? 215. This one is at 215. Let's call it a back button 2 and have it say back. And let's just have this go to, let's just have it set screen to welcome screen. That'll at least let us get back to the beginning. Set screen to welcome screen. And then on input screen, back button 1, let's add that. And we'll set screen. There's probably a way to do like an OR there, but okay, then we run it, do some of this. Apply distances. This should go back to the welcome screen. Good. Input your distances. Wish we could have a reset, but apply distances. Club selection back. Club selection or input distance and back. Okay, so the buttons work. Really just wanted, so finding the midpoint, this crazy algorithm here was one of the goals for today. The other one is the reset button, and well, we already are applying the distances. That was, geez, so much going on here. Custom distances. This is a more important, even though I have it, you can see how this would get out of hand if you didn't have it organized. It already is a little out of hand. Switch to input screen. Apply. Applies custom. Apply. Slider vals to dists array. And what does oh, let's just call it distance slider. We don't need to comment about that. That's pretty obvious. Okay, club output. Geez, that's our main function, our main event handler. And I don't know how there's a white space there, but there is. And we have this unnecessary return function, which is just ridiculous. Clear and reset. All this does resets values and inputs of radio buttons and input resets values and input slider. Applies distance, find midpoints. Let's keep our event handlers separate. These back buttons and welcome buttons and that sort of thing are just, you know, simple. Nothing's going on there. Okay. So we have our functions here. Return. If buttons. Okay, so we're checking radio buttons, clear and reset, apply distances, find midpoints. We are running find midpoints at the beginning because, well, we could start with our midpoints array already with the halfway points of the default distances, but we may want to, and we're not going to, one may want to change the default distances later on, and then that's when having functions is a lot more useful. You don't have to go back and change everything. Let's, God, I really want the reset button. Do I have reset, even the button out there? Did I get rid of it? Yeah, I don't think I have it even out there. Let's reset button, custom reset. We'll give this a try, and if we can't figure it out, we'll call it good to, we'll just deal with it. Okay, looking for value. 9 iron slider to 100. Wow, that's a coincidence. So let's run and I don't want to have to go through. Oh, I got the slider to God, am I gonna have to do this for each one? Whatever. Set property of, what is this called? 9 iron text area. Will that work? Ah, we got it. Okay, so we have copy. Let's see, 9 iron, 8 iron, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 8 iron slider, and 8 iron text area to, what is our default for that? 110. Does it not let me tab over? 110. Okay, 7 iron slider, 7 iron text area to 120. Wow, I can't believe this is working. 6 iron, I mean, I knew this was going to work the entire time. 6 iron text area to, what's the default here? 130. 130. 5 iron. Wow, I could do this so much faster in text. 5 iron to 144. And 4 iron slider. 4 iron text area. You can see the value here in naming things conveniently and correctly. Again, I'm falling more in love with the idea of, instead of having things called 9 iron slider, it would be slider, 9 iron slider, and so on. And then that way, when you're searching through the list, you can find it by putting what type of user interface element it is at the beginning of its name. Honestly, this is the most user interface elements I've had in an app. So it is has not been so obvious to me in the past. Let's see what we got here. So if we run this, we should be able to, well, bam. Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. That makes me happy. Okay. Okay, so these are our differences. So when we should have significantly different distance cutoffs. Oh, we got rid of that. I want to console log. Where am I console logging midpoints? I'm doing it at the very beginning. Console log, find midpoints. But I'm not, you know what? I'm not calling find midpoints in the on the apply distance button. That's the one that we should do it, because it is, are we calling it there? Apply distances. Apply distances. We need to run find midpoints before we apply distances, because apply distances is taking, well, actually they're, are they interrelated? No, we need to run it after, because find midpoints, what's the name of our function? Yeah, find midpoints is taking the values of distances, finding halfway in between each one, and adding those to this array called midpoints. But we want to run it after we apply. Both first, when we hit apply distances, it's going to put each of these numbers into our distance array, and then find midpoints will find the halfway point in between each of those numbers. So let's run, and that's our midpoints, our current midpoints. And now our midpoints are these values, and midpoints index 0, and that's why we're not hard coding, is because we can always just reference that item on the list item on the array called midpoints. Wow, that's satisfying. I think that might be it. Let's go back and make welcome screen the default screen. And make default. So run. And I don't know how else to check this. Club selection. What's a better word? Let's give these current distance. Input screen. Let's call this no input club selection back. Yeah, that's fine. You guys can decide. I don't. This is just design process stuff. I would say this works. Mr. Drusi, can you think of anything that we might be missing?
I mean, it's kind of plain looking, the green. I know it's like golf and whatnot, but
Do you want some
besides that,
images?
I think it's pretty good.
Uh, I'm not going to make everyone sit through it, but could have a picture of each club. Oh, that would be ridiculous.
No, I was thinking like, some birds, some tropical palm trees or something maybe. Something relaxing.
Oh yeah, that's not going to happen. But like, I don't know, find a picture of each club, and when 9 iron comes up, have that image come up. Um, hmm, how can we do this? We haven't done much with images yet, and um, do we want to download or do? I wonder if let's just do this for two different clubs. Um, I'd like to find a source that isn't like eBay where the image might go away soon.
A good solution to that could be to like download it and save it to
Yeah,
your drive and then link it to essentially you're hosting your own image. So link it to your own drive and save it there. And
or
then set the share.
you can just put it in um, just upload it to code. Let's call this pick 9 iron. And let's go here. It's code and design output screen. I'm gonna make this default just for now, and we'll image and let's choose an image and upload file. Oh wait, no, that's not what I did. Choose. And let's get a second one just to prove our point. Um, Wow, 3 iron is a movie. Search for golf clubs. Okay, and and let's choose that. And so let's what is this called? It's our only image, image one. Let's see. This would be in our in here. Let's see if we can set property. Can we set property of a picture? Set property of image 1 to text image. Holy moly, it's gonna work. That, and we're not gonna do this for each one, but we'll prove a point. The other picture we have is of a 3-iron. So we're going to set the property of image 1 to the image called 3-iron. And so let's run this. Actually, let's go back to our welcome screen. Set default to run. Select club. Let's make it a 9-iron, the shortest one. Picture of a 9-iron. Beautiful. And then we go back here and we go to the longest one, and it's 3-iron. So this works. It's kind of, I don't know if it's easy for you guys to see, but it's working. The picture is changing. And it would not be that hard to do that for each one. I won't force you or me to go through that, but you would just put that in the again, you are not doing this as this is not your project. This is just to teach you some points and possibly inspire you to solve problems in a unnecessarily complicated way. And we should probably point out, God, like this is like crazy algorithm. There's no way that would not count as an algorithm. And as far as abstraction, this is pretty abstract. It's doing a couple things. It's sending back a return function. There's a lot of different colors going on here. So we did a back and a reset button, and we have our distance arrays, and we run find midpoints at the very beginning. I wonder why we had to have this. This is just, all of this stuff is the same thing as our clear and reset function, so we can just call clear and reset at the beginning. That, at least we'll get 2 uses out of that crazy function. Function is it clear and reset? Clear and reset. Yeah, that just changed the characteristics of this. I'm not sure. Let's just see what happens if we take it out for a second. Okay, yeah, because it's easier just to set that up than we want it to come through with at least one of them selected, and that's clear and reset does that every time. Every time we start the program or go back to input screen. So yeah, so that function does puts things back to there. Did that say 7-iron a second ago? Oh yeah, because I did sand and tailwind. Yeah, and then a picture of a 7-iron would come up if we did that. And yeah, you guys could figure out how to do palm trees or satisfy Mr. DeRussi's design preferences. I'm not really up for that. Custom reset button. Let's put this up with the event handlers. This is a lot more. God, that's super long, but necessary. This is just sort of table settings, not a lot of coding going on when you have these huge functions of all yellow set properties. But you can see how set property is a super powerful tool. We're using it to change the fonts, the font sizes of the, when we click on the radio button, we're using it to change the image of whatever comes through. We are using it to, what else are we using set property? We're using it everywhere. Image, yeah, labels. I guess that's it. We just used it a ton of times because there are so many buttons and labels. Is that it? I think that's good enough to ship.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe
Thanks.
next stream we can go over how to kind of block out the code and upload it using the PDF thing. What's the name of it? Code to PDF.
Code print.
Yeah,
Yeah,
code print.
the Baker Frankie thing.
Yeah, I think we could go over that next class.
Yeah, maybe I'll fly through a brief, like, just the app is done, what you actually need to do to turn it in. Like, as far as, I know we've done this in class several times, but yes, doing the code print, absolutely, because that's one of the three things that you are submitting for the create task. One is a video, which I still think the easiest way to do that is just to hold your cell phone up and record somebody doing it, or have somebody record you doing it. Of course, there's different softwares for capturing your screen. Like OBS is actually really easy to use if you're using your own desktop, and if you're on a Chromebook, we'll figure something else out. But again, as long as you can get it to run, you would go to copy this link and just run the app from there. So you have the video is one of the three things that you are submitting for the create task, the written responses, and the PDF of the code print. And I guess tomorrow we will just go over creating those things, and that should do it. Do not forget about this playlist. This is literally everything you need to know, starting with submitting, and then all the details of the stuff we've been talking about, but from an official source. This is the College Board telling you what they want, which that's probably who you should listen to. And just to take a look at the calendar so it doesn't get away from us, we only have, you should be wrapping everything up next week. I don't know how much we can do with explore task. We can go through a couple of pointers from the, is this only the create task?
I think there might be a separate.
Oh no,
playlist
it's
we
there.
wrote
It's
on.
in here.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's there. Okay.
It's just the create task is so much more. There's more to it because it's more open-ended. But the explore task,
right? And so this is where you must submit your performance tasks into the AP digital portfolio.
Are you still talking?
Yeah.
Did you just mute yourself?
No, this guy is. Can you see? Oh yeah, he's on the. We'll just pretend like this is me talking. There we go.
All right, so a later video will discuss accessing the digital portfolio and how to upload, and
We'll just do that for 45 minutes next time. Can you think of anything else, Mr. Drusi? Any questions in chat?
I think we're all set. No,
Okay.
it's only us right now and maybe one other person, but
Sweet. Love it.
get some views later on today. So
Hopefully.
have a good one.
Yep. So if you guys are watching this later, remember you are responsible for everything that we say in the videos. This is class. Just because you're not doing a um, a golf club helper um, app doesn't mean that you cannot watch things. So um, let's. Although I suppose if you're not watching things, you're not hearing this message about how you need to watch things. All right. Well, either way, that's where we'll go ahead and call it, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Maybe, I don't know. We'll almost definitely stream tomorrow. So, yep, that's it. Bye.